Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, and we are having a really interesting day. I popped a hole in my chair, so now I'm going to be just adjusting, and Tina and I were laughing about that before, but we have a really fun show for you today. Welcome, say hi, say where you're from. We are live streaming on Brother Sewing and Crafting YouTube and Facebook pages, and we'll be able to see all of your comments amongst the crafting and sewing side. I'll be right back with Tina. Hello, Tina. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Angela?
I'm so excited for the show today. I saw the little preview of what you're going to be working on. Oh, and I love your shirt.
Oh, thank you. It's a scan and cut project. I'm going to show you everybody how to do that today.
Oh, we love scan and cut projects. We actually have been using a lot of scan and cut with some embroidery, and everybody's getting very excited because there's a lot of good deals right now too on the scan and cut. So anyone who was kind of thinking about it, now it's like, ooh, I better do that. Now, that's vinyl on your shirt, right?
It is. It's a holographic vinyl, so it kind of looks like a diamond's almost up close.
Oh, that's really pretty. Oh, and I love the quilt behind you. So festive.
I know. I've tried.
Everybody roll in and say hi. So tell everyone what you're going to be featuring today.
So I'm going to be featuring the PR1055, our 10 needle machine, and the scan and cut. And we're going to make a pile of quick Christmas decorating and Christmas gift ideas. And it's all going to be easy. That's the most important part. Easy.
We love easy, and especially because like if you're getting ready for the holidays, you better get everything in order because like they're here.
Great.
I love this. So what machines are you going to be using, and what machines could they be using as well?
So I'm going to be on the embroidery side. I'll be using the 10 needle, the PR1055X. They can use the multi-needles with my design center. They could use the Luminaire or the Stellaire. So all of the things that I'm showing can be done on all those machines. And then the scan and cut, today I won't be using a Disney design, but they could be using the 330D, the 325, or the previous models. I am going to really quickly use the new rotary blade. So that's specific to the DX models on the scan and cut side.
Oh, we love that new rotary blade. There are so many people on here also that have the rotary blade, or they were waiting for it to come in. So hopefully they get it before.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. All right, Tina, where do you want to start? Everybody is very excited to be here. And also, don't forget, you can leave your questions and we'll take little breaks and answer them no matter if you're on YouTube or Facebook.
Okay, terrific. So I'm going to go to a camera. The first thing that we're going to do, my first design that we're going to work through is we're going to create our own mylar design using the scanning mat on the machine. And so this is the scanning mat for the 10 needle. You'll notice that I have clip art on here. It's being held down by the magnets. As you're putting your clip art on, a couple of little tips for you. Don't cover up the black and white bars here. The machine uses that to calibrate the scanner. And if you're doing this on the 10 needle, make sure that you take the little needle case cover out of the scanning mat and put it on the machine. It just keeps the scanning mat, lets it run more smoothly on the machine. All right. Now, in terms of clip art, I get asked about this all the time. You know, you can go online and find clip art in things like adult coloring books. You can have drawings or artwork by children in the family, or, you know, if I were a talented adult, something that I drew myself. And the only thing to really think about is if you're going to use it commercially, make sure that your clip art is copyright free. Okay. So let's pop over to the 10 needle and we'll show you how to use the scanning mat. So when I'm using the scanning mat, I'm going to come into my design center here. And by the way, I have two scanning mats. That's why I made that transition so quickly.
I was thinking, Tina, you are like really fast and easy.
Oh, that's funny. All right. So I have three scanning options here. The fabric panel that you saw before me before I started, I would use image scan. The clip art of the snowflake is really a line design, so I'm going to use this. And if I had clip art that had solid fill areas, I would use illustration design. So I'm just going to pick line design here. And then I'm going to go ahead and scan here. And it's going to take a few seconds and it's going to scan what's in my mat. And so while that's happening, let's come back over here. I want to talk a little bit about the makeup of a mylar design. So here you can see I've already stitched out a snowflake using mylar. And mylar is an awesome technique because it adds a lot of sparkle and shine and visual interest to your designs. And typically when I'm making a mylar design, it's got basically 3 layers. So I put down the fill first, and you want to have some open areas in the fill so that the shine of the mylar will show through. And then I do a run stitch border, and I do that because the best time to remove the excess mylar is after the run stitch, because you can see a few areas in here where I have little bits that are still in here. And if it's at the run stitch stage, then my satin stitch is going to completely cover that. Whereas if I wait to pull it off at the satin stitch, and you can see a little bit is left here, I risk cutting my satin stitches if I resort to the scissors to pull away the excess. So when you're thinking about mylar, it's really a 3-step process. All right.
That's really a good tip because, you know, that's a really hot trend. It's going to, I don't see it going away anytime soon because it's actually becoming more popular. And you just explained that so well. 3 huge tips.
Perfect. All right. So let's go back to the machine. It's finished scanning what we have. And so here on the screen, you can see my snowflake picked up the magnets. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to crop out all of the background that is extraneous. I'm trying to cut out all my magnets without cutting out any of my snowflake here. And I think I did that pretty well. While I'm here, the default on the machine is a satin stitch, but I can choose it to be any of the stitches here. And since I said my first layer was the fill, I'm actually going to choose a no sew for it. All right, and then I'm going to bring it in. It still looks great, so I'll go ahead and set. All right, now at this point on the machine, I can still see the background image of the magnets. They're not captured as a design element, but if that's distracting, I can get rid of it by just lightening up the background image as you see here. So for that first layer, I'm going to come in. Now on the Design Center, if you're not familiar, our line controls are here at the top and our fill controls are in this area. So I'm going to pop into my fill controls and I'm going to grab one of the beautiful decorative fills that we have. And we have so many to choose from here. And really, you have lots of options in here. What I typically do, my snowflake is a little bit on the small side. So I'm looking for a fill that's a little bit busy because, again, it creates some additional visual interest. So this one, number 25, should be a good fit. And I'll pick a color. And then I'll just come into my bucket. Oops, looks like I have a hole in my snowflake. So now I get to basically enlarge that a little bit and see if I can find the hole. Let's make that a little bit darker so you guys can see that. So let's see. Where is my hole? You know, I did this like 47 times before the live and didn't have any holes in my snowflake.
You know what, though? The Brothers Sewing fans love this because then they can see what to do if it happens to them.
Yeah. So I'm just going to come in here and grab my drawing tool here. And I think that my little hole is right in this area here. Hopefully my back's not in your way. So let's see if I caught it here. We'll come back down. Nope. This is awesome. This is why lives are so much fun, everyone. All right, let's see. It is Murphy's Law, too, that only happens when you're on camera, right?
Oh, right. And we're all trying to look for the hole with you. Anybody see the hole?
I don't. That's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't see a hole.
Let me try right here. It could be right here. So we'll come in here, draw in that area. Try it again. Oh boy. All right, so we'll try one more time. The good news is a second ago when I did this, I saved it in the memory. So just for the sake of time, I can pull out the saved copy of it here. But let's see. Let's try in here. This is really funny. I honestly don't. Oh, wait a minute. I think maybe right there.
I still don't see it. But, you know, another thing is if you have this issue, you can rescan it in, make the whole thing darker, and that will help it as well. A lot of ideas for you.
Woo-woo! All right, we made it.
It worked.
If at first you don't succeed, just, you know, keep trying to find that hole. But the good thing is you notice that we can enlarge and zoom in to get a whole lot of detail in here. And if you're not familiar, the panning is up in this window right up in here. All right. So once we filled in our hole, and again, here's my fill. I went to the bucket and touched within my snowflake. That's all I had to do here. So I'll go into the next page here. Now, what I'm going to do, since again, my snowflake is on the small side, I'm going to come in here and make the pattern as small as possible. So I'm going to reduce it down to 50%, and that'll just give me more visual interest. And again, the purpose of the fill in the mylar is it wrinkles the mylar fabric and creates additional opportunities for the light to hit it and create that shine. So this is an area where more is better than less. So there's our fill. I'm done adjusting it. So again, I made it small, 50%, and I turned it to a single stitch rather than triple stitch. And I'll bring it into the embroidery side by choosing set. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to go back to the design center. All right. And I'm going to pull it out of memory. And this is going to be my run stitch. So we'll come in here to the line and I'm going to choose run and just a color here. This time when I do the bucket, it's going to be in the line properties area. So I'll touch on there. And really for a run stitch, I don't really have any adjustments to make here. So I'll go ahead and go directly into set. And so now you can see I've added the run stitch around the perimeter. So now my last layer is going to be the satin stitch. So again, design center, go to the pocket to pull it out of memory, saved it to the machine. The last thing I saved is the first thing in the list. And this time I want it to be the satin stitch. I'm just going to change the color a little bit here, but satin is the default. That's fine. I'll choose the bucket, click on my snowflake. And then when I come into the next page, you'll see it's added the satin stitch. Now for me, I like to actually come in and I widen my satin stitch just a little bit. I bumped it up to a 0.12, just to, again, to make sure I got good coverage on all the mylar material. And I'll come into OK now and set it. So that was pretty easy. I've created the entire mylar design in those 3 steps. Now, a couple of things. Let's go ahead and add some text because, you know, adding text on these machines is so easy. I'm just going to, again, hit the add button, and then I'll go to my fonts. And you've got all kinds of beautiful fonts on the machine, all kinds of options, micro fonts, special characters, really anything that you're looking for. But I like this one for this particular one. So I'm going to put Let It and Snow on here. So we're just going to come in really quickly. And you see I have both uppercase and lowercase letters to choose. That one's pretty easy. So far I haven't misspelled anything. Now, those letters are too big within the context of my design. So I'm going to change the size, but I want to change all of the letters at the same time. So here I'm going to choose Select All. And then here's a sizing option here. I'll just go down to medium, and that actually looks really good. And then I want circle text above it. So I'm going to come into Array, and I'll pick the top of the circle here. And that actually looks good. We're not going to worry about where it's positioned right now. We'll fix that after we set it. So there's part of our text. Now, I could take my finger on the screen or the stylus and move my text, but it came in and it's horizontally centered over my snowflake. So to retain that, I'll just use my arrows, and that's going to get it right up where I want it to be here. All right. So that looks good to me. And now we'll come in and we'll add the snow underneath. So again, pretty easy here. Whoops. Trying to misspell snow. That's not good. Now I'll pick the bottom of the circle. All right, and we'll set it. And then we'll use our arrows again and just bring that right in under the design. All right. So it's just that easy. Again, if I thought I needed to move it sideways, I can do that as well. All right. Now, the only thing that I would say here for the design that's an important step not to forget is once we're done with our editing, on the next screen, I would come in here where we can set controls for individual thread colors. And if we think about the way the design is, I want to lay down the fill and then the run stitch, and then I want to tear away the excess mylar before the satin stitch. So when I get to satin stitch sequence, I just want to add a manual stop here, and that way the machine will finish the fill and the run stitch. It will stop, allow me to pull off the mylar, and then I can restart the machine. So that's really all that you have to do for a mylar design. And at this point, I'd be ready to stitch.
Wow, so that was pretty fast and easy. And you know, I just want to remind everyone too, as you're watching this, I know some of you like to watch, you can watch this over and follow her step by step when this is over too. So you want to save this one. This is a good tutorial, Tina.
Perfect. All right, so let's go look at the samples that we made. so you can see how these turned out. So first up, I have a little tea towel. So this would be great in the kitchen, or it'd be a really cute little gift for somebody. And again, look at all that sparkle and shine I'm getting from the Mylar. Isn't it beautiful?
That's gorgeous.
I really love it. And it's stitched out in about 10 minutes. So guys, if you have some extra tea towels in the house, that's a quick and easy one. And then here's another one. This is a burlap placemat. And I just used a couple of different snowflake designs and changed around the sizes. And I put a different color of Mylar in here. And look at all that amazing shine that you get. And again, super quick, super easy to finish these projects.
That's beautiful. Boy, you can really see the shine on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So if you haven't tried the technique, I really recommend it. Again, it just adds a lot of extra glam to the design. Now, the one thing we haven't talked about that I get asked about all the time is how do you launder items that have Mylar in them, right? So a couple of tips for you on that as well. You can, if you buy the Mylar that's for embroidery, it is launderable. When you go to wash them, I would turn the item inside out, for example, if it was on a sweatshirt, and I would make sure that the water and the dryer temps were set medium low. You don't want it too hot. If you do have to press something, maybe if the tea towel wrinkles or whatnot, press it with a low to medium heat iron from the back side and you'll be fine. And then the only other tip that I think is important to share is some people ask me if as they lay the Mylar fabric on the embroidery hoop, if they can put spray adhesive on it to hold it in place. And I would recommend not doing that. Some of the spray adhesives take all the shine out of the Mylar, and that really defeats the point of having it in there.
Oh, that's good to know. You've given so many good tips here.
All right. So next up, we're going to start on the ScanNcut.
Everyone's saying, love it, love it, love it.
So next I'm going to go to the ScanNcut and I'm going to pull an onboard design off the ScanNcut. I'm going to send it to my computer wirelessly and then show you really quickly in PE Design how you can convert it to an applique. Then I'll wirelessly send it back to my 10 needle and then we'll walk through how that works. And I don't know about you guys, but the reason that I love the wireless feature is I must have 300 USBs in my sewing room and I can never figure out which one I put my design on.
I'm with you. I can never. I'm looking for my logo right now, and I've gone through everything. I don't know where it is. I'll find it like once I finally redigitize it.
Too funny. All right, so let's pop over to our ScanNcut. So for this one, I'm going to pull up, there's a wreath design on board, but basically on the ScanNcut, you've got over 1,000 designs that are on this machine. It's pretty incredible. Basic shapes, you've got designs, you've got Disney, you've got sentiments, which are whole words that are welded together, borders, and you've even got fonts on the machine. So we're going to go into the designs here. And as we're looking on this page, these are categories of designs. So there are so many designs in here. I told you I wanted a wreath design. And if you're looking for holiday designs, this category has tons. So we're going to come in here. You notice I've got a bell, a candle, a holly leaf, wreaths, presents, Christmas trees, Santa's even in here, and there's even more as we continue to scroll through. But we're going to use the wreath today, so we'll just pull this guy up. No, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make him a little bit bigger because my what I'm going to do is make a 7 by 7 and 7/8 by 14-inch quilt block out of this with applique. So I'm just going to pop him up till he's about 6 inches tall here. And again, as you notice, the longer I hold my stylus on the resize button, the faster it goes. And of course, never fails that I go really fast when I've gone past my number. All right, so here we are. So that's the size I want. So I'll go ahead and hit OK. Now, this particular design has 2 parts. So it gives me the option to choose just one of the parts individually or both of them at the same time. I'm actually going to choose them both at the same time and hit OK. All right, again, everything here looks fine. I'll go ahead and set it. I don't need more than one. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but it came in as a grouped item, and I actually want to move the bow off of the wreath. And so if you're working on these multi-part patterns and that happens, just come in here to edit, go to Object Edit, and this is your group icon, and it's activated now because it's grouped. I'll hit it again, and now you see it's ungrouped so that I can access them separately. So I'm just going to move this guy over here. All right. Now, the design I have, I want the wreath kind of to be hanging from a ribbon and have the bow on it. So I still need to add that ribbon section. So I'll pop in over here and I'll come back to my add button. And again, I'm going to go to the patterns on the machine. And this time I'm going to basic shapes and I'm going to grab a rectangle. Now this one, when I go to resize it, I need to do it a little bit differently than last time. So I want to make it longer and shorter. Okay, so I need to turn off the aspect ratio. When this one is selected, then as I change one of the dimensions, it changes the other at the same time. But when I select it here, I'm able to elongate this to about 5 1/4 inches. I think that's what I want. And then I'm going to actually make it thinner, more like 1.5 inch ribbon. Okay, so it allows me to move or change the size in only one dimension. All right, so that looks great. I'll go ahead and set that. And then here it is on my screen. I'm just going to quickly rotate it so it fits on my mat a little bit better. All right, so if you notice, I have the wreath here because it's going to be out of green, and I have the ribbon and the bow over here because they'll be out of a different color of material. And when I go to cut it, at this point, I'm all done here. Okay, I would scan the mat here and then walk through the cutting, but I've already cut it out for us. So what I'm going to do right now is send it to my computer wirelessly. So the way that we do that is we go to the save option here and we pick the icon that looks like your computer with a wireless icon by it. And it's telling me it's saving it. And okay, so it was successful. So now we're going to go over to my computer and I'm going to pull this up really quickly in the PE design software. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly here.
I'm watching this. I see a few comments, and don't worry, I'll get back and answer a lot of these when we take a little break. But just so you know, I put the website. Someone asked where to find the Scan and Cut. Visit your local brother dealer right there.
Oh,
all
gotcha.
right.
Oops, let's see. Let me try my sharing again. Interesting. All right, well.
That's just because we're live. Cynthia, I see you can't hear anything. Make sure you click on, well, you can't hear me. But there's a little icon for sounds if you want to hear. Oh, and I see someone else said, how do I save this? So while she's getting her screen share up, if you're on Facebook, which I think the person who asked that, you're on Facebook, click when this is over. I don't know if you can do it when it's live, but you click share it to your page. Oh, I see your screen. I'll bring it up, Tina. Share it to your page, and then you can go back and watch it anytime, or you can go to Brothers Sews and watch it on the YouTube channel. There's your screen.
Okay, here we go. I was thinking, I don't know what else to do at this point. So thank you for saving me.
You're right there.
All right, so if you haven't done this before, when you send it wirelessly from the Scan and Cut, it will save to your Canvas workspace. I'll show you that in a little bit later in the presentation. And so I just saved it off to the desktop of my computer. So now that I'm ready to use it, I'm in PE Design and I've gone over to the Scan and Cut icon here at the top of the page, and I'm going to choose Import. And here's where I saved it to my desktop. So here's my design here. I'll hit Import. And then I'm just going to close this window. Now, I did go in before I started under the hoop selection, and I set it for the multi-needle and the 7 7/8 by 14 inch hoop. So that's the area that you see displayed in my workspace. And now I'm just going to toggle back to my Home tab. And a couple of things. Now, it came in right now as a grouped object. So even though we see lots of things, my computer right now is seeing it as one big thing. And I need to ungroup it so that I can modify it a little bit. So with it selected, I'm going to pop up here to the top where it says group, and I'm going to ungroup it. And so now I have lots of different things on my screen. So let's start with the ribbon first. I'll select it here. Now you guys aren't going to believe how easy it is to turn this into an applique. With it selected, I'm going to pop here to the top of my screen and hit the applique wizard. And then I get this dialog box. Now I've already cut mine out, so I don't need the cut file. So I've turned that off. And I'm choosing an E-stitch. Some of you may know it better as a blanket stitch, but you have other options. I could do a satin, a V-stitch, or a chain stitch here, but we'll leave it with the E-stitch. And then if I wanted to change any of these parameters here, I can. I'm actually fine with the default settings. And then under the output pattern, I'm just saying replace my cut file with my new applique pattern. All right. So once I've made those selections, I'll just hit OK. And it automatically turns that into an applique file. So now I'll do the same thing with the ribbon. And since I've already set one up, I won't have to set any of the changes. It's going to save my last set of options in here. So all I have to do this time is hit OK. All right, so that's pretty easy. Now, the reason I ungrouped it is because when I get to the wreath, my computer isn't sure, is this a circular piece of fabric sitting on top of this scalloped edge circle, or is this a hole? And so I have to tell it that. So I'm just going to come in here and click and drag with my mouse around both of those objects for the wreath. And then I'm going to come in here where it says modify and overlap. And there's a hole sewing. So I'm going to say set hole sewing. So now it knows there's a hole or a donut in the middle of my wreath pattern. And once I've done that, I'll just pop in here to the applique wizard and again, hit OK. And it's going to apply all those settings. So what happened, and just so that we're clear, because I said it was a hole, my E-stitches are capturing the material coming in. If I hadn't done that, these E-stitches would be out in this area here and they wouldn't be capturing my fabric. All right. So the only other thing I have to do is I have to set up my little design set here. And I do want the ribbon to lay down first because the wreath is going to sit on top of it. So with it selected, I'll just pop over here and say sew first. And you notice now it happens at the top of my list. So now let's just line it up. So with it selected, I'm just going to flip it to the right. All right. And then I'll just move it over here and kind of set it up towards the edge of my hoop here. Then I'm going to grab the wreath and I'm going to move it into position again, overlapping my ribbon. And then I'll grab the bow. And again, I'm going to rotate it as well. And then I'll just slide this guy right in here so that it covers up that area. And really the only thing I'm making sure is that in the indents here for the ribbon, I want to make sure those are on top of the wreath so I don't see blank space behind it. Now I could be done at this point with an applique pattern, but if you want to add a background fill like for a quilt block, that's super easy in here as well. Again, in the same area at the top, I'll come in and choose background fill, and you'll see it shows a picture of my design here. And all I'm doing now is telling it where I want the fill. So if I want it all around the edges, it's here. If I want it in the center of the wreath, I'll click in here. And then I have options over here. Echo is probably not what I want here, but I could do stipple. But I'm actually going to use one of the decorative fills on the machine. So that's already selected. So I'll go to next. And here are some other options. If I wanted a little space between my applique and the fill, I could just increase this from 0 to a larger number. And if I don't want this particular fill, I just click on this little window here. And these should look really familiar. These are the fills that we have access to in the design center on our machines. So I'll just kind of come through here and see what I'm looking for. And I think for my sample, I chose this one because I thought it kind of looked like a poinsettia. That was my reasoning. All right. And you'll see it'll automatically update that on the screen for me. And at this point, you can still make some other changes. Maybe you're in a hurry and you want it to stitch out a little bit faster. You can actually change the size of the pattern to a bigger number here and update the preview. And what that's going to do, it makes the background fill bigger, and that makes the stitch count for the design smaller, and it means it'll stitch out faster. Okay. So whenever you're done, you just hit the OK button here. It takes just a couple of seconds, and here we see our design on the machine. So at this point, let's go ahead and send it over to the 10 needle wirelessly, and that's really easy as well. So it's up here on the send, and then I'll pick send to network machine. And I've already set up my 10 needle, so it shows in the list. So I just click on the PR1055, and now let's go over to the machine and pick it up. Although, Angela, do we have any questions before we do that? All right. Angela, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I hit myself on mute because I had a visitor. There were a few questions, and one thing someone asked is if you wanted to put this into, can this go to any computer, or does this have to go into PE Design? First of all, to do everything you did here, you'd have to go into PE Design and follow along what you did. But is there any other options for them if they don't have PE Design?
I don't think there are any other options because they would have to have some sort of application that would consume the FCM file format.
Yeah, that's so that answers that question. Everybody else just said they are so excited and mostly how to save this. You want to save this and go back. This is a great tutorial, Tina.
All right, so let's pop over to the machine. I'm just gonna switch cameras over here.
All right.
All right, and let me stop my share too. Got to remember all these details, Angela.
And we can see you great. And I have my glasses on, ready to go.
Those are special. All right. So this is the wireless pocket on your machine, and that's where I'm going to find my design. If for some reason you haven't yet set your machine up for wireless, pop into settings. On the 10 needle, you're going to navigate over to page 9. You'll turn on the wireless LAN enablement, and you'll go through the wireless LAN setup wizard here, and it will connect you. This is my home network here. And then whatever you name your machine here is what's going to show in the option over on PE Design. So I wasn't very creative and I named mine the PR1055X. If you named yours Poppy or Rachel or something else, that's what you would see in the drop-down list over in the software, okay? So once you've got that set up, to retrieve your design, you'll come in here to the wireless pocket, and the last thing I sent is going to be the first thing in my list, okay? And then I'll set it. And then let's come over here. I want to show you a couple. I don't really have anything else that I want to edit or change here, but I do want you to see something when we get to this screen. So this option allows us to change configurations by individual thread spool. Notice because I made this in the PE Design software, it automatically put the manual stops in here for me, right? So I'll have a stop to lay down my fabric before it does the E-stitch finish, and then it'll stop again for me at the next one. Now, what it did do, though, is it added an extra manual stop for my background fill, and I don't really need that. So with it selected, I can turn that off. And the other kind of fun option on this page is I can choose to no-sew. So let's say this was this week and I have time to do all the background fill, but maybe I'm still making these on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I don't have time for the background fill. I can just no-sew that element. And now I've gone from about a 15-minute stitch out to a 4-minute stitch out, okay? So that's pretty cool too. And then again, I'm ready to go. So I would hit embroidery, I would hit the lock button, and then I would just start my machine. So I've stitched these out. You want to take a look over and look at some samples?
Oh yeah, we're dying to see what this looks like.
All right, so first of all, I did cut them out on the ScanNcut. I've already taken a wreath off, okay? And so this is the hole that was in the middle of the wreath. And by the way, this is felt. So this was so fun and easy to cut out with the new rotary blade. Really, really, really easy. If you haven't seen the rotary blade yet, maybe yours hasn't come in yet. It looks just like this. It's like the world's tiniest little rotary blade. And it's great for cutting things like felt or craft foam because it doesn't pull the material from the mat as it cuts, all right? So here's the ribbon. So I'm going to show you how to place that. And oh, by the way, this is a funny story. So this guy here, I don't know if you can tell the shine. This is like a green lame. Oh, there you can see. It's very Elvis, right? So about five years ago, I was at a white elephant gift exchange party at Christmas, and I got this amazing set of green lame napkins, 8 of them, that I thought I tried for the whole party to get somebody else to take these napkins from me. But alas, no one really wanted them. But I finally this year figured out a great way to use them. If you put the iron-on fusible on the back of the stuff, it cuts so easy with the ScanNcut. And I don't know if you've ever used it before, but it normally shreds like crazy. But with the fusible on the back, it doesn't shred at all. So it ended up, it took me a while to appreciate my gift, but I appreciate it now.
Glad you didn't re-gift it.
Right? You know. All right. So here's an interim step out of our quilt block. This one I actually changed to a stipple. Again, it stitched out really quickly. And what's happened, I had the placement. I put down my red felt for the ribbon. It did the E-stitch. The same process here for the wreath. And so now I have the placement line for my bow. And I have my pre-cut bow that I just pulled off the ScanNcut mat right here. I just lay that on there and line it up. And then just basically pop it back on the machine, and it's going to lay down those E-stitches. It just couldn't be any easier. Now, a couple of things with this. You know, some people like to put the iron-on fusible on the back of their applique pieces. And had this been quilting cotton, I would say absolutely, because, you know, it will tend to shred and separate from the stitches with repeated laundering. This is felt. It's not going to shred. The fusible is not a bad idea for something like a table topper. It'll just help it hold up better. But if you don't want to do that, it's fine to put a little bit of glue stick on the back side of your applique pieces to hold them still while you're stitching. And again, if there's ever a time you're going to babysit your machine a little bit, do pay attention while it's capturing that fabric to make sure there's no shifting while it's being tacked down. All right, so then here's another one. Here's another example of sometimes I just don't know when to quit. So this has the background quilting stitch with that little poinsettia-like pattern. This one is using quilting cotton instead of felt. And then I just cut out some simple shapes on the ScanNcut and added those in as ornaments. So you can kind of go as far as you want to in that kind of decorating scheme. Now here's our big ta-da. It's our table runner. I'll show it to you up close first. And then I'm going to step back to the other camera so you can see it sort of all together.
Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Isn't that cute? And it's really quick and easy to do. I'm going to show you really quick a set of instructions, and then we'll talk about those for just a second here. So the construction on this is really easy. I'm basically, if you're using the quilt blocks and you use the 7 7/8 by 14-inch hoop, you'll make 5 of them with your applique design. And I chose to, as I sewed them together, orient them in opposite directions. Sew them together with a 1/4-inch seam, make 2 extra hoops full of just the background stitch for the ends. All right. And once those are stitched together, you'll end up with a single piece that's about 54 inches long by 14 inches wide. Okay. So then you're going to trim it. So it's about 12.5 inches wide. And again, feel free to change these measurements for whatever you need it to do. Now, alternatively, if you know it's next week and you don't have time to do all the quilting and you want to decorate with a ScanNcut instead, just have a plain piece of fabric cut 12.5 by 54. And then you're going to use a single piece of fabric, and it's going to be the back of the runner, and it's also going to be the 2 side border strips. So you're going to cut it 24.5 inches wide, 24.5 inches wide, and the same 54 inches long. Okay, so that part's super easy. The construction is super quick. So you're going to basically sew the center panel to the backing fabric along both sides with a 1/4-inch seam. So now you've made a long tube of fabric. Okay. You're going to true up the ends if they're not even. All right. And then you're basically going to fold it together lengthwise, right sides together. You're going to sew a straight stitch on both ends, and then you're going to flip out the triangle, and then you're good to go. So let me show you, because that might be a little bit confusing. So here's another.
Watching, don't forget, when you watch the replay, you could just take a screenshot of those or take a photo. Yep. All right.
So this one's been actually decorated with a ScanNcut. Those beautiful napkins show up one more time here.
Oh my gosh. No, that's turned into the best gift ever.
I know, isn't it cute? So this is my center panel, again, 12.5 inches wide, single piece of backing fabric stitched right sides together on both sides. So then it ends up making a long tube. So then I'm just going to fold it in half, right sides together, just like this. And I'm going to do a straight seam right here on the edge. Now I flat locked mine. You could do a running stitch, maybe a zigzag if it's going to get a lot of wear and tear. But that's all you have to do. And this is the magic of this little pattern. You just basically flip the end out, just push it out to the corner, and you have a completely finished triangular end without any Y seams or no fuss, no muss. I mean, it just couldn't be any easier. Isn't that cool?
I just love it. It's so cute. I'm reading. Everyone's like, this is so fun. Someone said, I just took a screenshot. That's beautiful.
Isn't that cute? So literally this one with no embroidery, between cutting it, sewing it together, doing the cutouts with the ScanNcut, and then fusing everything on, it's less than 30 minutes.
Unbelievable. I got to tell you, that green is gorgeous.
I know, right? Sometimes you just have to have some time to appreciate your gifts.
I'm going to bring up, you sent a photo with all of these things together real quick. I'm just going to bring that up so everyone can see this, because this is absolutely gorgeous. Here you go. Check this out. I want to come to your place.
Come on.
I love these. So someone had a question. Can you wash the mylar? Do you have any issues with that?
You can launder it. I would, if it's clothing or whatnot, I would turn it inside out. I would lower the temperature of the water in the washing machine. I would say like medium heat, and to put on low heat in the dryer, and then you're fine with it. But do make sure it's the mylar that's made for embroidery. Some people use mylar balloons rather that are for gift wrap. Those don't hold up quite as well through repeated laundry.
Okay. And there's
All right.
a close up of all that. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. All right, so now that we figured out how to make our little wreath design, let's do something different with it. So I'm just going to pop back over to the 10 needle.
All right.
Now, I'm back in the wireless pocket. So I saved it a second time without the ribbon and in a smaller size. So I have the mini me version of the wreath. All right, we'll just get this guy centered here. And what I want to do is I want to have 3 of them, and then I want to use the letter editing on the machine to put JOY across them, okay? So copying and making other copies is easy. That's our copy key. And then I'll just basically bump this guy over here, and I'll do it again and pop him in over here. And then to make sure that they're all kind of level, I'll come into select all 3 of them at the same time. And then I'll use my alignment tools. This time I want the horizontal centers to be aligned. I didn't do too bad. All right, so now everybody's lined up. So again, adding the letters is really easy. So it's add, go back to my character fonts. Again, you can pick whatever font you want. We'll do a J. It's a little big, so we'll go to medium. Looks great. Now again, when it came in, it's positioned pretty well here. So I can use my arrows just to slide this guy over to the first wreath here. This always gets me. I go too slow and then I go too fast. So now we'll just come in here and grab the O. Oops. We'll get him kind of where we want him. And then the same thing, we'll grab the last one for the Y. Oops. Let's go back and resize that one down. Actually, I'm going to do something different. Hold on. We're going to delete him because I should have resized him before I brought him in. See how easy it is? Even when you mess up, it makes it quick. All right. Now I got it. Oops. We'll just slide this. Whoops. Get it back to where I want it. And we'll just slide the letter over to where we need him to be. All right. So super easy to do. And then we have a completely different project just by changing the size and repeating and adding some text. So, you know, of course, I had to stitch this one out for you guys too. So here's this one. How cute is that?
Oh my gosh. These are absolutely so much fun.
They're just really simple. Here again is my beautiful lame napkins, the same wreath with a little quilting fill on top to give it a little texture. The ribbon is red glitter HTV and then adding text. And again, a little tea towel takes about 15 minutes to make. Couldn't be any easier. And then if I have any frugalistas, sometimes I like to save my materials, but I cut out extra wreaths. So I just basically ironed them onto a little gift bag and added some dots of the glitter vinyl for a little jewelry bag. And this is actually the center of one of those wreaths. And then the little ornament hanger is one of the shapes that I found in the ScanNcut. So don't be real anxious to throw away the middles and other things because there's lots of different things you can use them for.
Oh my word. You know, that looks like an entire collection that you would spend a ton of money on if you were going to buy that at a store right now.
Yep, I would agree. I would agree. All right, so, you know, I saved, I don't know, is it the best? I can't decide, but the quickest ones I save for last. How about that?
There's more? Yay!
There's even more. So we're going to pop in to the Canvas workspace software from Brothers. So give me just a second and I'm going to share my screen.
All right. And while she's watching for her screen, I can see your questions. Everybody's saying yes. And by the way, oh, I know I would love that 10 needle too, Arnell. It's awesome. But yes, you can do a lot of what she did on the Luminaire. Anything with my design center, that's what she's using in a lot of these. So keep that in mind. All right. I got you, Tina.
All right. So if you're not familiar, Brother offers a completely free software program called Brother Canvas Workspace. You can download it online. And it has lots of cool features, right? So a lot of the shapes that you have in the ScanNcut, the basic shapes are in here. You have the ability to add lettering. you can trace clip art and other things right here in the software. But one of my very favorite features is we have a whole project gallery in here. So this first icon here on the top left, when I click in here, it's going to bring up projects and pattern collections for me. So again, these all come to you completely free of charge. It's amazing the kinds of things that Brother does for their customers. And you know, this list of project goes on for days. The other thing that's nice about it is it's also searchable. So I could put something in here like Christmas if I wanted to, and it would filter out some things that had Christmas in here as a keyword. All right. So not only do you get the project, but let's just pull one of these up randomly. Let's say I wanted to do this rhinestone Christmas card. All right. And I wasn't actually sure how to do it. Well, I could watch a video on it being done, or I can click here and it'll give me a PDF recipe for the project, which is pretty awesome. So you can't even get it wrong. And then these are all the cut files. So you literally just click here and it automatically loads it to your mat. Isn't that amazing? I mean,
Wow.
it's such an amazing feature. So let's come in here. I don't know if you guys noticed, this looks sneakily like the t-shirt that I'm wearing right now. And it's actually in the program as a free project as a Christmas card. So watch how easy, because the other thing I want you to know is even though they show the design being used in one way, you can use it in all kinds of different ways, right? So if I want this for my t-shirt and not the card, I'm just going to grab the card element here and I'll delete that. That was pretty easy. And so now I have the Noel. Now, it's probably not the right size for a t-shirt right now, but that's not a problem. I'll just grab the corner handles here and make it. And I think I actually made my Christmas tree. He ate a few extra Christmas cookies, so I widened them out a little bit here. All right. Now, because this was originally designed as a foil project, if we come up here to the top, you'll notice that the action that's being shown right now is draw. If I want to cut it out of vinyl, what I want to do is do the drop down arrow and I'll choose cut. And so now it'll turn the drawing lines into cut lines. And then I made mine out of heat transfer vinyl. So just a couple basic things on the scan and cut. When you're cutting fabric or you're cutting adhesive vinyl, you're cutting it right side up. So you don't have to do anything after this. When you're cutting heat transfer vinyl, you actually put it on the mat upside down. And so because I have lettering in this design, if I don't flip it horizontally, my letters, I'm not sure what they will say, but it won't be Noel. And to flip it, really easy. Just pop into edit and go to flip and then flip it horizontally. And now it looks backwards now, but again, when it cuts it on the heat transfer vinyl, it'll change it to the correct orientation, right? And then you're off to the races. So if you haven't used the program, I can't say enough great things about it. There's just so many free resources in here. And again, don't think because they show this as a Christmas card, it can't be a t-shirt or it can't be in the middle of a quilt block or however else you want to use it, right? It's just really, really cool. Now I wanted to show you one other one in here because I cut it out and I just want to go through it really quick. And it has to do with rhinestones and kind of a different take on rhinestone designs. So let's see, there's a rhinestone stocking in here.
Oh, and we just watched May do a bunch of rhinestones yesterday, so this is going to be so much fun. Another thing to do.
Right, so here's the design. It comes in. Give it a second to load, and you see it actually will cut out your fabric for you to make the stocking. Now, I got to be honest, I bought my stocking, but I'm still going to use the rhinestone template design here. So I'm going to pull it in here. All right. Now it's been loaded to my mat and it came in with a weeding line, which is really, really nice here, right? So when I go to send it over to my scan and cut, all I have to do is come up here and do file, and we'll say export or transfer the file. All right. And then I want to transfer it via the internet. All right. And so it's processing right now. And now it looks like it's ready to go. Now you do have to register both your scan and cut and the Canvas workspace software for this to work. But let's pop over the scan and cut and let's retrieve the design. So give me 1 second here.
All right. Hey, while you were up there, you got to show them your shirt again. Someone said, let me see your shirt again, but you don't have to do it right. There you go. Okay, let me bring you up all by your lonesome. It's so cute.
Cute and super easy. I mean, it took maybe like 6 minutes to cut.
Unbelievable.
So really cute. All right, so I'm over on my scan and cut. Oops. Oh, standing in front of the ScanNcut for those of you trying to. All right, so I'm going to retrieve the design. So I come into retrieve data. Again, I sent it wirelessly from my computer, so I pick that option. And there's that design ready to cut, right? So again, I'll show this to you really quickly. All right, so here's my stocking. We'll go to this camera here. All right, so here's my stocking that I bought at the store. And here's the little rhinestone design that I already cut out. Now, by the way, there's two different ways to do rhinestones, right? The traditional one, I would have the rhinestone template material on the mat. It looks like a black velvety material. It would cut the little holes that you see here and what I've weeded away. And then basically I would pour rhinestones inside of this and use the brush to turn them all the right side, lift them with transfer tape, and then apply, right? And the rhinestones are beautiful, but if you're doing something, maybe you don't want the expensive rhinestones, or it's for a small child where rhinestones can actually be a choking hazard. This faux rhinestone technique is one of my very favorites. So you can see here, I used one of the holographic heat transfer vinyl products. And so you can see it has quite a bit of bling and visual interest to it by itself. And so in this case, for the, excuse me, for the faux rhinestones, rather than keeping the background information, this time I'm keeping the holes. All right. So this has already been cut out. And then I'll lift it. And by the way, you can weed on the ScanNcut mat, or you can weed off the mat, whatever is easiest for you.
Oh my goodness. That is brilliant. I love this.
Isn't that adorable?
Oh my.
Totally washable. It's safe for little children. It's really quick. I mean, this one cuts out in about 5 or 6 minutes. Weeding it takes like another few seconds, and then you basically fuse it in the heat press or with an iron, and then you're good to go. It's an amazing technique. If you've never tried it, I can't say enough good things about it.
So Tina, the only thing you did is you put that face side down then when you cut it, correct?
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the things that we would do. Let's go back to the ScanNcut too, just to make sure that we got all this.
I love this.
All right, so here's my design. I don't have the mat, I've already cut it, but if I were trying to place the design on my material, I could use the scanning feature, right? When I'm done with all of that, I tell the machine what action to take. So I'm going to come into cut. Now remember, and if you guys will look at it again one more time after we come out of the ScanNcut, but heat transfer vinyl is a 2-layer material. There's a clear transfer tape, and then you have your holographic vinyl on top of it. So when you're in the cut settings, you need to come in here to settings, and on the second page down, you have to make sure your half cut is turned on. And what that means is when it cuts, it will cut through the sparkly holographic vinyl, but it will not cut through the transfer sheet, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to pick up each one of those dots and manually place it. All right, so let's pop over here again and look again just to make sure that it's clear. So again, this is the transfer tape that's still on there. It's holding all the dots together in the design configuration, so I don't have to individually place them. And when it cut, it just cut through this layer and it left the transfer tape uncut so that I can keep the design integrity together. Okay, so super easy. And if you haven't tried it, definitely try it. There's lots of places you can find the holographic vinyl. It looks great on pretty much anything you do. It comes in all kinds of colors. My shirt has green. This is gold. You can get it in silver. The silver one actually looks like the hot fix rhinestones that you can get. So pretty cool.
This looks like rhinestones. I'm looking at this and I'm like, I even put my glasses on. I read Joanna. Joanna said, how did you cut those rhinestones? They're not rhinestones, but they look exactly like it.
Yeah, it's that holographic vinyl. It picks up the light from all different, and it's probably easier to see in the full sheet. But I mean, every time you move around, it just hits the light, and it really looks like a rhinestone. It's pretty cool.
Tina, you're going to get me in trouble because my husband has a little spot in my office. I call it his man cave. And he has a roll of this that he uses for fishing lures. I think I'm going to have to go sneak some of that.
Oh, for sure. You should definitely get some for you because it's just too much fun. All right. So I did make a couple other things that are in the projects that are in the Canvas workspace projects here. Here is a little gift bag with a little Nordic deer. So this is
Oh,
just matte finish HTV, just takes a couple seconds to do. And then I added the embroidered name at the embroidery machine. So this is a really quick and fun one to give people's gifts in. Here's another one. This is actually in there as a cake stencil. Whoops, let me get it all the way down. A cake stencil, but look, you can convert it into a heat transfer vinyl design. You can add text to it and you have something really fun. And I think this one might be my favorite, the next one. So I like to be fancy, but I'm not really all that fancy. And I wanted something special for Christmas this year. And if you're not aware, the adhesive vinyl is not a food safe product. So you shouldn't have it directly on a surface where food is. But look, I cut out the same design in an adhesive vinyl. I put it on one of these inexpensive chargers that you can get. And then when I have the glass plates, either for dinner at Christmas or for the Christmas cookie exchange parties, I have something really decorative that just took me a few seconds to do.
Oh my word. Oh my word. And I have one of those too. And you know, I always wondered how to put food on there. Never even thought about putting the glass. Brilliant.
And then here's just a couple of last minute things. These are both directly on the ScanNcut itself. But you know, I don't know. I get tired. I have to ship a lot of gifts out and the bows don't travel very well. So this is just a simple piece of fabric in one of those 3-inch wooden embroidery hoops with a little glitter HTV snowflake on it. And then if you give candy or jams or other things in these little glass jars, it's a cute way to embellish the top and really make something simple seem a little bit more special.
Oh my word. Unbelievable. Tina, I think this has been like the best hour, not just like, but this has been the best hour of quick, easy projects, inspirational. My ScanNcut is right here. I'm actually wrapping gifts over here. I'm going to definitely squirrel and go over there and make some additions to them. I love those little things. Can you show that gift one more time?
Yeah.
That you just had on there?
No problem.
That is just, so you just put ribbon around it and stuck that to the top.
I did. Yep.
Oh my word. Brilliant. Brilliant. Everybody's saying, oh, this is so fun.
The other thing that you can do with the designs on the ScanNcut, the same technique, those can be ornaments that you hang on the tree too, right? You would just put the ornament hanger and some string here at where you tighten the embroidery hoop. So you can use these in a lot of different ways. And
then they're reusable.
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, I'm reading all the comments. Everybody's saying, oh my gosh, Tina, you outdid yourself for this one. Everyone says this has been a fantastic show. No pressure for Tina, right? Everybody's like trying to get ready for everything for the holidays. And it's like, what could I do fast and easy? Well, you just gave us at least a dozen good ideas.
Well, I'm glad, yesterday when you asked me for pictures, I was actually finishing up. So the good news, guys, is for real, I got these done really, really quickly.
Unbelievable. Okay, so I just want to know in the comments, and I can see we have almost 200 people watching live right now. And we're across 4 different channels, so you all might not see all the comments coming into one section. If you liked the show, you should definitely share it because you can go back and watch it. And I know my 2 sisters who just got ScanNcuts, I'm sending this to them. Even if they don't have the embroidery machine, they can still do a lot of the projects you gave. I love how you spread this out, and pretty much anyone that wants to do something creative could do this with one brother product. This is amazing. Let me see if there's any questions for you.
Yeah.
I think I saw just a handful. Everybody's saying the glass plate idea was brilliant. I agree, Debbie.
Those cookie exchange parties, I'm telling you, it looks like you went way out and it took just like a few seconds.
I agree. Kathy said this is her favorite. I totally agree. So by the way, while you guys are doing this, I just put a little thing. Make sure that you follow brother. Tell them how much you loved this show so we can keep doing these. I agree, Carol. You got to come back and watch. They need your imagination. So I will put this video up on my blog for you too, so you can find an easy way. But the best thing to do is to follow Brother Sews on YouTube. That's the fastest and easiest. You can binge watch. And I'll make sure I title this so you can find Tina's. I'll put her name in there somewhere. Everybody's saying yes. No questions. I thought there was just a couple. Yeah. Ditto what Tina's awesome.
Oh, you guys are too sweet.
Tina needs to come to my house, Marianne says. I'm with you on that.
I might come.
Oh, definite. So elegant, but so simple. You know, I don't know which part was my favorite. The one towel that you had that had the wreath with all your matching wreaths. I love that. That would be something very easy to do. The table would look great. We're always having, little appetizers and short little parties and stuff like that. Perfect. I'm just checking. Oh, this one's kind of off topic, but we could ask Lisa, maybe she knows. Can you embroider on waterproof canvas? You have to I would think if you want it to be waterproof, you're gonna have to put another sealant over it. That's kind of like out there.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be waterproof anymore, but I'm pretty sure you can, because I've embroidered on canvas that I've coated with gesso before, and that was fine. I mean, the good news, especially with the commercial, the multi-needle machines, the thrusting power of that, they go through some really thick and heavy materials.
Yeah, definitely. Also, here's one for you. Cynthia wants to know, how did you weed that with those rhinestones? I think everybody is still at the rhinestones saying, oh my goodness. Any tricks for that?
Yeah, let me pull it back here and we'll go to the little IPEVO camera, because it is deceptively easy. I'm waiting for my helper here. It's gonna help me find it. But you basically, oh, you know what? Do I have it?
Hey, Tina, Debbie's going out to look for shiny green napkins now. You've caused an entire new trend.
Okay, all right. So basically, when it comes off the cutter, it's gonna look kind of like this. I don't have it completely aligned. All right. But what I do is I use, the Brother tools. I get the pick and I start in one of the corners and I lift the corner. Now, this is a great example with this faux rhinestone technique. Remember to do your test cut, because some of the holographic vinyls, they're not really thick, but they're kind of tough. And sometimes you have to adjust the cutting pressure. So do make sure you do your test and you get through here. I think when I cut this one, I had my half cut on and I had my cut pressure set to 2, but you'll want to test it to your materials. But when I weed, I try and keep it flat against the transfer tape, and I really just kind of go like this. And this one, this is how easy it weeded. I literally kind of did it at this speed. And because I had a good test cut and I had cut through the material well, this is about how hard it was to weed.
Oh, my goodness. That is not, that was so easy.
Yeah, it was really easy. And it's really quick. And I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of what color of holographic vinyl you use. People just love it. Like I have a little black apron that I use the Craft Diva design that Brother makes available to you. And it's done in this silver holographic vinyl. And people are always like, oh my gosh, where did you get that? They're real rhinestones. And like, nope, look, you can touch them.
Unbelievable. That's really cool. I think that's going to be first on my list. I got 2 little nieces I got to make something for, and that's exactly what I was thinking about the rhinestones, is they're not really safe if they're only 3 years old. I don't want to be eating them.
They'll love it. I mean, everybody, young and old, seems to really enjoy the faux rhinestones. It's a fun technique. Everyone should try it.
No little black dots anywhere all over from when we're normally doing it. That's so cute. All right, this was an awesome show. If you have any questions, you can always leave them. Brother's always scanning here to check if you need anything. I would love to know who else is getting a ScanNcut this year, because I think between all of these cool things, Cindy, does Tina have a web page, or where can we find her?
I actually don't at this point, but look for me. I do Brother events across the country, and I'll be back with Angela in the future as well.
And I can't wait. Everybody's saying thank you, thank you. And I'll be sure to share this for you as well, so you can find it easily. But the best thing to do is share it with your friends, give us a little love. And then Brother will say, Tina has got to come back and do a ton of these things again. Actually, I wish we could go for 3 more hours. This has been the best hour ever. Tina's thinking, I don't have that many things, but. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. And Tina, I wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, since I won't see you. And all of you watching, hopefully I'll see you next Tuesday. But if not, safe travels. I want that shirt.
All right. Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye.